Welcome to another episode of the A.K.A. podcast. A.K.A. the podcast where we ask questions like, does Inigo Martinez have a buyback clause? Is Flick a one-year merchant? And is it cheating to use the internet to remind yourself of Premier League strikers? I don't think so. I think that I just needed to jog my memory, but then all the evaluation of what striker is better than another was completely me. I
The
take full
Google form was very explicit.
I don't know. It said
Can you
to
clarify?
make your decision. So for me, a decision is who's better than who.
No, but
not
your
which Premier
ability to
League players
jog people
exist.
to your memory, is part of your ball knowledge.
How
All right,
good
well-
are they? How good are they if you don't remember them?
Fact.
Well,
How good
it's
is
too
your
late
ball
now, and as the person who owns 34% equity in this podcast,
34.
yeah, we have to round up. So 33, 33, 34.
Someone runs it.
Someone has to have the 34. I think that it's okay. We can move past it.
Can we just clarify though? Is this pod for the Barcelona one or is this for the Prem?
Well, what do you guys want to do? Do you guys want to talk about Barcelona? Or do you guys want to do the Premier League?
I think bad news first. We start with Barcelona.
Start with bad news.
Okay, so we're gonna have two short podcasts, because we want to separate out the Premier League gimmick from the terrible Barcelona vibes. Separate the good vibes from the bad vibes. All right, so let's talk about it. Barca lost to PSG 2-1 midweek on a last minute, or towards the end, a goal in the last minute, and a pretty disappointing result, and then followed up with a 4-1 thrashing against Sevilla over the weekend in the league. I mean, a couple goals came late. To be completely candid, I had a couple errands to run, a couple appointments, and so I could not watch the entirety of the game. But
Good for you.
maybe it wasn't as bad as it looked, given the late goals.
Which one do you want to start with?
I think that we can start with the Sevilla game, given that seems to be the most catastrophic. Losing 2-1 to PSG in the Champions League, it's like we can move, but yeah.
Okay, sure. You want to start with Sevilla?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm gonna preface this with that it's not the end of the world. Okay, the big games are still to come. We still have Madrid to come. We still have the big Champions League games. If we have the group stage to come, right? And we went into this game obviously without two of our best players, Rafinha and Lamine.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say that first half was the worst half this season, and probably I've seen from Barcelona in a while. That first half was atrocious. I felt like it was chance after chance. It was like a comedic version, a parody version of Flick's High Line. Like, that's what it looked like. It looked like what you'd imagine would happen when you had players on the halfway line, and these guys just have all the space in behind, and they can just through balls. It was terrible. It was like the fact we went into halftime 2-1 was a miracle.
Do you think that's due to the defensive pairing of Cabarce and Araujo?
Yes, Araujo specifically, right? Like Araujo just didn't understand the concept of a high line.
He's like, I could just run back fast.
Right? No, that's exactly what would happen. They would win the ball back in the midfield, and then they'd about to play a through ball, and Araujo would just drop like ever so slightly, so that they could be not offside. Like that's
you're talking about the goal where Koundé loses it is the best example of that, where Araujo completely says panic mode, abandon line. Like, genuinely, he goes into pure panic mode and goes into natural instinct of chase. When it was like, that's completely the opposite of what we should do. And I'd like to add just one point. Araujo is a problem, but the pairing of Araujo and Gerard Martin in the same back line is the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. The commentators pointed it out. This isn't really more of an original thought, but when I was watching the games, the commentators pointed out, and it's a very good point, that they purely never pressured when Araujo or Jordan Martin were on the ball. They never pressured. Their goal was to make sure that the midfield, they had no access to the midfield, so making sure Pedri never received it. And then they were just making sure that the ball always within those two hands, and whenever they did give it to Kunde or Kubarsi, they had all the pressure on them. So Araujo and Jordan Martin can't pass it out, then they force pass it to one of the other defenders who eventually lose it. By the way, Kunde, I'm serious, had no options in lots of these situations. I do truly believe that. It wasn't a good performance. But if they're not pressuring the two defenders that keep on getting rid of the ball to you, you're eventually going to be the one under pressure. So as much as you want to blame Kunde in such situations, it is not Kunde's fault in my eyes, because if he had the options where we're not in a susceptible position where the team needs to press all players equally, he would not face such a
Yeah,
circumstance. So
I agree. I agree. I think Kunde also bad game from him. Like he still lost the ball. But it reminds me a lot of PSG last season, right? That's Enrique came out and even said, was it not last season, the season before?
Yeah, season prior.
Season
Yeah.
before under Xavi, they said they let Araujo have the ball. That's what his game plan was.
Yeah.
And you can see it, man. Like it was awful. They can't. Jared Martin and Araujo can't
Mhm.
pass, dribble,
they
can't.
can't function in the same team. They cannot exist in the same oxygen airspace. They cannot live at the same. Our team is messed with those people. Okay,
Yes, yes.
I do
One of
want to
them
say
you
one
can.
thing. I do want to say one thing. The people who are here trying to thrash Flick's system are not realizing they're acting as if something's changed to the time when we beat Bayern Munich last season. They're acting like times have changed. Nothing's changed.
It's about having the right personnel too, though. Like as the coach, you should
Of
know
course.
who can play your system and who can't, and what combinations of players. Let me ask you. So Araujo got subbed out to begin the second half, and I mean we conceded two more goals. Um, Obviously, there was the missed penalty by Lewandowski, but it also seemed like the offense was stalling a little bit. It can't just all be on Araujo, right?
Okay, so this is my perspective, right? The game ended 4-1. Based on the first half, that was flattering. Based on the second half, that's not representative of the whole match at all. It being
Mm-hmm.
4-1. That second half was light years better when they brought on Garcia and Balde. And for me, it just came down to Liwa missing the pen, and then we just kind of folded after that, to be honest.
Right, right. Yeah, the late goals.
We
That
went
makes
With
all
sense.
out of. We went
Yes,
all.
absolutely. We went all attack. And the last two goals, honestly, like, it makes it look bad, but they're not representative of that half. And
Mm-hmm.
then, but this actually brings me on to another point, and you could argue this is why we didn't end up winning the second half. Is that yes, Araujo and Jared Martin were not good. In fact, they were terrible. But the midfield and specifically the attack did not cover themselves in glory in any way, shape, or form. For one, Ferran's not a winger. We know this, and it's very clear. He cannot impact the game on the wings. As a striker, I would have preferred him 10 times to the performance that Liwa gave as a striker in this match. Liwa was terrible in this match, in my opinion. I feel like he couldn't hold off the ball. I felt like his touches were very bouncy. I thought from the attack, the only guy that was trying to do something was Rashford, in my opinion.
Mhm. Well,
And
yeah. On the bright side, though, if I'm hearing what you're saying, it sounds like that simple personnel change of bringing on Eric Garcia and Balde seems to have fixed things for the most part. So hopefully this can be a learning experience for Flick. And I mean, unfortunately, we were talking about this to begin this season. There is a depth issue, especially on defense. And so I'm not saying that we're always going to be able to avoid playing either of them, but maybe he will choose his moments and maybe avoid pairing them up together as well.
right,
Also,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that we've had a depth issue from the beginning of the season on the defensive side, but we've also developed a depth issue. I'm not sure if it's depth or as much of just like threatening people to bring on due to injuries on the offensive side. So Amr and I was talking about it during the game where we felt like we couldn't really bring anyone on to impact the game with Lamine being out, with Rafinha being out. Like what it felt a
For
lot
me.
of Fermin, yeah, sorry, Fermin. Uh, and the way that it felt was I feel bad, right? Because one highlight of like what lots of people were talking about during the game is Bartigi. I don't know how to say his
Yeah.
name. That's
Mm-hmm.
Bruni, if you want to
Mm-hmm.
call him that. Uh, where honestly he was trying to create stuff. We need to remember this guy was signed for like 3 million or something, and he's coming on and he is attempting, but his end product is disastrous.
I
Like I
mean,
mean, the guy
this
can't pick a
this
ball.
this is what I meant by we should probably. It's good that we did this pod a few days later because on the day I would have shredded Rooney. I would have killed
Yeah,
the guy.
he's a kid. He's a kid. We're kind of spoiled with the La Masia product, but I think him being unpolished or his finishing being unpolished is pretty typical for a player of
Unpolished
that
is a
age.
very generous term. I mean, the guy would have practically a 1v1, and it looked like he was trying to pass it. Like it
But just
literally. I
pass it
remember.
off. Just pass
Yeah,
it. Why even
exactly.
shoot?
Pass it off. So we had that problem when it came to that, and then the other talking point, which I know Amr, you also wanted to say something else, was Danny Olmo and the lack of creativity that we're seeing. The lack of creativity we're seeing from him, and the ability to create chances. I think when
I'm missing
Olmo first
chances.
joined us, missing
Missing
chances, of
them.
course. Yeah, but for me, it's less about that and just feeling like he's getting bullied off the ball a lot more than I'm used to seeing in this recent times. Where every time he gets the ball, it feels like he can't carry the ball and he can't hold the ball. I will say one thing: I do think that on some level, he is being used as a scapegoat by some Barca fans further than it needs to be because I believe he hasn't played well. But I believe people have overestimated as if he's making like insane mistakes. Like I think was it against PSG where he had the shot where it was technically an open goal, but Zaberni gets a touch on it like that. Those type of chances are not as easy as they want to make it seem. You know.
My bigger issue with Almo is not what he does, it's what we miss when he's on the pitch. In my opinion, it's like this empty presence, at least in the style that we're playing, like right now, which Fermin provides at least a pressing and defensive presence when he's on the pitch, even if he's not doing much on the ball. When Olmo's on the pitch, I feel like we even miss that part, and he's not compensating with his
Mhm.
creativity and linking up and being in the spaces. Maybe that's like maybe a bit of a personnel issue. Like I felt like Young and Pedri are really trying to feed like the long balls into Rashford specifically, more so than trying to link up with Olmo. But come on, like even Olmo when he's on the ball, he's getting
Yeah.
Yeah.
pummeled.
Hmm.
One last thing I want to say when it comes to Olmo is, from my perspective, I'm actually a fan of the profile of Olmo being at our camp position more than a Firmino.
The thought of him is better. Yeah, I
Thought of
agree.
him is beautiful, but I feel one of the biggest things we do lack is someone occupying that space to create stuff
I
to
agree.
be like defeat a low block. And lots of time when I'm watching Firmino on the team, the most thing I keep repeating is like it'd just be amazing if we had a person that's more creative in that position. Um, and because of that, I see why Flick keeps on going back to defaulting to Olmo a lot of the time. Not to mean that if Firmino was healthy, maybe we would be seeing
Yeah.
Firmino a bit more. And Firmino almost is like that beautiful thing to bring on as a sub, so maybe we missed that as someone to come on instead of Olmo. But again, I do think we need someone there. We need to utilize someone that's creative. But like Amr said, if you're not being creative and you're missing the pressing, then what are we doing here? And
That
one,
that yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say one last thing. I talked with Amr about this right before the pod, which is Kubarsi came out after the game and highlighted one of our biggest issues being the lack of press that we're doing from the front compared to previous seasons. And I mean, I definitely see that. I think that we are missing a lot of pressure. And he said lots of the opponent's goals are building up from the back. And Amr mentioned this without not pressing the passer. These passes that they're consistently making from the midfield, that diagonal pass to the winger with the striker already standing offside and they easily just pass it in, that is happening because the person in the midfield that's making that initial pass is free, is open, and is just open for
Yeah.
them to do. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
I agree with Kabarsi on that aspect, and I think that we do have a bit more of a Olmo and Rashford. As much as Rashford, it's just like it's not the most ideal um, form for players to have to press. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially with
Totally
that
agree.
Rafinha.
An
Yeah, go
an
on.
interesting thing from I kind of wish I watched this game just for some of these Sevilla players. I want to watch. I want to see Alexis Sanchez and Adnan Januzaj and Cesar Azpilicueta play ball. Like
Crazy.
this is a
Crazy.
throwback to my
Bro,
youth.
we should have sent a message to Alexis Sanchez. Been that guy. I don't care. Laporta sent him an mail when he joined Sevilla, being like congrats and stuff like that, and then he dunked on us.
Yeah.
That's stupid, bro.
I can't believe he's still playing. I think last thing is that Ahmed, you mentioned this could be a learning curve for Flick, and it definitely was. He brought them both on at halftime. But my concern is that if we don't do anything in January, is that these problems will persist purely on the fact that Balde's injury prone.
Yeah, exactly.
Eric is
It's a
just.
depth issue.
I
Or
mean, he
like
is ideal, right? He still
when
has
you're
some.
competing in multiple tournaments for multiple titles, you have to rotate even without injuries. There's just no way around it. I just hope that in the big moments he'll learn not to do something like this. And Sevilla's a good team, and it's unfortunate, but we did just play PSG on Thursday, so sometimes there's no way around it. But I just hope that like this will kind of confirm for him that this is not a viable option against any competent
Right.
team.
And I think I would say as well is that like just not to be naive to the fact that I think we have somewhat been okay, that's a bit harsh. I was gonna say figure it out, but I think there is a blueprint to beating us, right?
Yeah,
Which I
it's a
think
high
right
line and timing the runs in
exactly
behind. It's not complicated, and it doesn't take a genius to figure it out.
if you look
It's
at
about
all the
executing though,
yeah,
right? Do they execute better than we execute the high line?
right.
So,
And I think that if you look back at all the goals that we've conceded this year, they're almost identical to one another. So they'll either do a run off the wings or a run from deep, usually on the wings as well. And then they just do this like looping ball across the box, almost like a banana like esque ball, such that the guy finishing the chance is behind the ball
right, and he
and
has
behind
time
the
to
ball.
get there. Yeah,
And
he
he
has
just
time to
loops
get
across and then they
there.
just finish it. So and in addition to how they press us, especially when we have people that can't handle the ball. So these two things, like again, big. I mean, it's a warning sign and a red flag, especially if we don't have players fit by the time the big games come around.
I think
Mhm.
one thing to kind of, I don't think I have much to say about the PSG game, but one thing to highlight about that game, because bringing up the way that we concede, talking about the Gonçalo Ramos goal, which is again practically the blueprint.
Yeah,
Gonçalo Ramos was
exactly.
actually interviewed by CBS after the game, where was it either Carragher or was it Micah Richards? One of them asked him, basically talking about that tactic and talking about how they concede, saying, "Did you look into it?" And Gonçalo Ramos really just said, well, the thing that we've basically just like learned through this looping pass is I just need to be behind the ball by the time the winger gets it. I don't need to be behind the
Right,
defense. So he's just
exactly.
literally standing 3 meters offside, knowing that by the time the winger gets it, he's gonna be behind the ball. Rarely is it a situation of, oh, the striker's not offside because he's behind our defense. It's always because he's behind the ball for all those
Right,
reasons that we've mentioned.
exactly.
Right.
And when you take the person orchestrating the defense of Inigo Martinez and you replace him with a person who does the offside trap the worst of the defense, you're gonna result in just a trash offside line.
Bro,
Like
just call him
what do you
stupid. Just
expect?
call him dumb. Just say it.
He's
Say
low
Arguing
IQ.
back,
Low IQ.
it.
he's stupid. He's
He's
low
kind
IQ.
of like an oaf. Yeah, he's just like a big,
Genuinely, it's
Let
just
me tell you
guy.
why I think this happens. Let me tell you why I think this happens. I think his best attribute, and then it becomes a crutch, is his physicality and running back, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a crutch. It's so ingrained in him. The second, dude, he just remembers Coleman ball with Mingueza.
Yeah.
And
Dude, Araujo's peak was Coleman ball. Like
yeah, dude,
literally.
Coleman
Yeah.
ball first season of Chavi. He sees and he's like, oh my god, just hero ball, get back. The second somebody's about to run in behind, and he thinks he's chasing down Vinicius Jr., right?
Yeah.
But that's not what's
yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
That's not what's happening.
Bro,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't think a person can ever transition back to a center back when you've been put at right back for a couple of seasons. Like a center back in Flick's system, after you've been deployed as a right back with that Vinicius tactic, which was just
Yeah.
run back, run back, run back. Literally, that's all his goal was. And what I'm gonna say is this: I truly believe, and I know maybe just a podcast ago, so maybe I'm being reactionary. I was saying any of these center back combinations seem to have been working, but I'm really just falling back to this thing that I'm willing to sacrifice size if it means that Eric Garcia gets to start next to Kubarsi, because Eric Garcia likes to take that role of the Inigo Martinez, where he actually becomes the leader of the line, not forcing Kubarsi to be the leader of the line, and not having a Araujo there who's killing us. Because Eric Garcia, the second he stepped on the pitch, I swear our ability to ball play and our ability to get the ball out was completely different.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is all with the fact that we didn't even mention the pen from Araujo.
Yeah.
I mean, that pen is like, for me, again, a bit soft. Like, I thought they were going back and forth. But why are you molesting, man?
Araujo. This one, that's what he's doing. I've never seen on my life. I've seen hands on someone. I've seen the situation with Araujo and Barcola where Araujo did that. That situation I heard a bit because I'm like, listen, you get your hands on them. I have never seen someone put both of their arms over someone's shoulders like that. Genuinely, he was giving him a back rub. It was a shoulder
Ball's
massage.
going out.
He took him to a
The
Thailand
ball's going out.
massage. Yeah, he started doing this, bro. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. I think that you can definitely sacrifice size to play the way that Flick wants to play, and then we're probably just going to get bit on set pieces, but that's always been a Barcelona issue. So,
Right.
and I'd rather be weaker on set pieces than have teams just like easily be able to break our high line.
Right. And I think one other thing, like, again, I said last thing like a million times, but this does also show how much Juan Garcia was a beast and covering up for lots of the problems in the defense.
Hmm.
Because Chesney, for example, the fourth goal, was it the fourth goal? The one that he let in at like a weird angle?
I think that was
Right.
the third one. I think the third one, but I'm
Might
not
have been
sure.
the
I
third.
know what you're talking about, where he kind of like taps it and it goes or loops all the way around him.
Right. And like realistically, that shouldn't be like the end of the world if that goes in. But I just know for a fact Juan Garcia is saving that. And he's probably saving a couple of like the sweaties. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can't rely on
I
a
know.
on a
I
like
know.
amazing like unbelievable goalkeeper, right?
Right.
But
Right.
some teams
They're
have.
supposed to be good, nice to haves, Give like if they
Courtois
stop,
practically saved Madrid, but like I know.
Donnarumma
yeah,
saved PSG. I understand it's not like if you're trying to be like undefeatable, like no one can defeat you. You can't rely on your keeper. But nowadays, dude, you
rely a
have to have
bit, like
a
save
world class
one goal. Like if you save, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
No, he
know,
is a world class keeper. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like our backup of being Chesney, a retired goalkeeper. Regardless, I'm not saying Chesney, by the way, has been terrible. He genuinely has not. Before these games, he had a lot of decent saves. Even against PSG, it was
It's
not bad
decent.
games by him. It's just decent saves. I'm just saying, my standards aren't the same standards I give for a team that's in the mid-table. I don't because
Yeah.
you know what happens as well is when I watch when we play against Rayo Vallecano when I watch teams like when we play against Sevilla, no matter the team, it feels like there are a lot of keepers that do save their teams almost every single time. So I can't help but feel we have a worse second keeper than most starting keepers in La Liga,
Yeah,
which
I
I don't
agree.
think is.
Which is obviously normal. Again, it's hard to have two starting
Yeah, I agree.
caliber
I agree.
keepers.
The way I see it is that like Juan Garcia should be the difference maker come the big games, in my opinion.
Yeah, or
Over the
like if
long
you're gonna talk about it like an average, it's like okay, if your goalkeeper can prevent half a goal a game, that's I don't even know if that's realistic. That's incredible. But Juan Garcia was like stopping 2 goals a game.
it was
Like
unbelievable.
it's like insane, and so that's just not sustainable because your goal, no matter how good the goalkeeper is, it's just not that's not a sustainable level in my opinion. Game in, game out.
Right. But then you look at some strikers like that are just world class and we don't really question that they're world class. Like we don't question if that's a fair advantage or not. Whereas like Juan Garcia is the equivalent of that but in goal. You know what I
You don't
mean?
expect the best striker in the world nowadays, like with the exception of Messi or Ronaldo or whatever. You don't expect them to score a goal or two a game. You just don't. Like it's just not realistic on like
I kind of do nowadays, but I
really
don't
Holland,
like a
know.
goal and a
Holland and
half,
Kane are doing it. Holland and Kane are
Holland,
doing it.
Kane, and Mbappe.
Yeah.
a goal and a half a game.
Kane's on 18 and 11.
Oh wow. Okay. Maybe
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 Kane.
I'm mistaken, but it just seems like it just seems like players there aren't that many players in history that have been like ridiculously consistent to the point where they can do this game in game out. And I think that's okay when it's an outfield player because other players can make up for it possibly. But when it's your goalkeeper and you're like relying on him every game to save you,
Yeah,
it seems definitely more risky.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
So, but speaking of the PSG game, that is a game that I did watch. I was I actually thought that Barcelona played really well. Like I thought we were playing them toe to toe up until the end, and so I thought that that was a really good game. And they are champions of Europe. They are uh, arguably the best team in Europe at the moment, even. And so to be able to play them toe to toe, I think was really impressive. And I think it also answers some of our questions of what would have happened in the Champions League final last year.
See,
It would have been close.
see. I agree with basically what you said. I think context-wise, you have to remember that going into the game, we had like a half. I mean, injured Lamine. Like for me, he didn't look fully fit, and obviously Rafinha was out as well. Like big losses, but I
Yeah.
think PSG were missing more.
They're
At
missing
least
Dembele, right?
they were
And they
missing
were
Dembele.
missing
They were missing their whole front line, right? Essentially,
yeah.
they
Yeah.
were missing Dembele, Dewey, Kvaratskhelia. Like for me, that's big losses. Like, they were essentially playing teenagers up front. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we do have to consider that. But I agree with you. I really felt like even with the 90th minute loss, there wasn't much in the game. The first
Yeah.
half, I really thought that we were probably better. Second half, I thought they were definitely better. But at the end of the day, it was a group stage match. I felt like Lamine really wasn't fully fit. Like that second half, and it showed. He got injured
Nuno
big.
Mendes should have had a red. Should have had a red. Let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about it, please.
The big talking point, Nuno Mendes should not have been on the pitch, even with a broken Lamine, dude.
They moved that man to winger, bruv, when they had him shook. They had him
Yeah,
shook. They had him. They moved him to left wing. That's what they said. They said you're not gonna be on Lamine anymore. Half injured Lamine.
I've
Okay.
never seen. Talk about that second yellow. How is that not a second yellow?
This guy is already on a yellow, right? Lamine. By the way, this guy had already also gotten a warning on top of the yellow. And as he's being attacked, Lamine dusts him on the edge of the box. If Lamine gets past Nuno, there's another defender there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's the last defender. However, it's Lamine against one more defender at the edge of the box. Like it is a counter attack. We're not talking about even a build-up play. We're talking about a counter attack where Lamine has just beaten the man that has been like sticking on him the entire game, and Nuno takes him out. It's not even a case of listen, the ref didn't call a foul, so you can't go back to VAR and give a second yellow. The ref calls the foul. This is where the part it
Just
doesn't,
doesn't give the yellow. Yeah.
because he's acknowledging the attack has been stopped by this slide tackle by Nuno Mendes on Lamine Yamal on the edge of the box, and he's yet after all that he's come to the decision. Yeah, but it's not a yellow. Those two cannot exist to me. Those
Yeah.
like those facts cannot
Super weak. Yeah.
in time, because I've seen times where refs even genuinely, I've seen times where refs won't call the foul, and I actually give them the benefit of the doubt of listen, you just did not see it. I can get over it. But when you call the foul, you've, like I said, you've acknowledged its existence. Like you can't now not give the second yellow. It's hard. I
I
don't know.
completely agree.
Yeah.
For me as well, what's really telling and weird was the second the foul happened, Michael Oliver like adamantly like waves it off as if it wasn't a second yellow, and I was like, dude, how have you come to that conclusion that quickly? Yet you've called a foul. It's so
I'll
weird.
tell you. I mean, like to be honest with you, we all know that if he wasn't on a yellow, he was getting a yellow card. And
Mhm.
it's really frustrating when that factors into the ref's decision because for me it's clear as day. He does not want to do anything controversial. Although not giving the second yellow, in my opinion, is more controversial than giving it. In his mind, he's like, I don't want to send anyone off. The game is too big for an English ref, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I'll say one more thing, especially since I think we need to wrap it up pretty quickly,
Mhm.
just purely because of the fact that we want to get over this Premier League thing, and I really just have like 40, like 35 minutes to do that. One last thing I want to say is there was a lot of criticism of Flick's in-game substitutions of bringing on Bernal and Casado to play the two DM positions. I will be maybe a pretty unpopular opinion of actually saying that I don't really blame Flick that much for the decisions, although I do think that contributed to the higher chance of losing.
Yeah,
I I think I just
we,
looked
we
at it like
lost. We
this.
lost the entire game once they came on. But I
Yes.
hear you. I hear you. You're saying
What I'm
like
gonna say is, at the end of the day, it was a group stage match, like Amr has already said. I think Flick realizes that if we want to play this is a marathon and not a sprint, we're gonna have to sub off Pedri and De Jong. I promise you, if this was a final, he's not subbing off Pedri and De Jong. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a situation of he thought this was tactically better for the team at this given moment, but he understands that, listen, if I play De Jong and Pedri another 90 minutes, and then guess what? I try to play them against Sevilla. I understand not the best of situations in the end happened in the Sevilla game. But you're just saying that I think he was played into that card, and if he did it, and then we still tied or won, we'd be talking about it like, great, we got rest for Pedri and De Jong. So I just think it's a bit reactionary to jump on him for such a.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and dude,
So
Luis Enrique has our number. I can't lie.
yeah, I mean he's like honestly one of my favorite coaches of all time. Like I mean he won us the treble, but I've always really liked him. So just to wrap up, next Champions League, we have the international break now. Then we have the next Champions League match is on the 21st against Olympiacos. Then Chelsea, which is going to be rough. Frankfurt, Slavia Praha, and Copenhagen. In this new Champions League format, how many points do you think you need in order to? Well, how
Top
many
eight.
points do you think you need in order to get top 8 to qualify directly?
Top 8 last season was 15.
15, and we are currently at 3.
Yes.
Right.
3 in 2 games. I think the only unlucky draw we got of the entire thing. I know you could say PSG's an unlucky draw, but it was just Newcastle, and we got that win. I think the rest of our games are easy. They're nearby to Spain, meaning short flight, so hopefully it's going to be
With
fine.
the exception of Chelsea, but yeah, I agree.
Arguably.
Yeah, but again, another pot 1 team, so it's like,
yeah,
I expected that it was going to be a difficult game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can still get to 15 even without that game.
Yeah,
but
yeah, and again with this new format, it's not the biggest deal if you drop out of top 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That Chelsea game is again in England. That's 2 trips to the UK.
They might discover Lamine this time or something.
Yeah, exactly. And Rashford might ball out again. You never know. All right, guys. Let's wrap it up here, and then for our listeners, there'll be a second podcast on the Premier League top 10. Karam will explain that on the next podcast. So we'll see you there. Peace.